Hey, welcome to the Backyard Professor Chess videos. I've been away for a couple of days, but it's been heck week like I suspected. Ha! Hey, can you see the bottom of that board? Holy cow. Messing up big time there, that's better. Boy, that could have been a disaster of magnitudinal proportions. Anyway, in my training games with my chess coach, my app I call Alec, I play on various different strengths while I'm training. The idea is not to win, but to develop my ability to see tactics, to see how to coordinate the pieces, so on and so forth, to improve the beginning, the middle, and end of my chess game. Which is what I really do need. Anyway, this particular training game, let me just give you just a couple of bits of information, and then I promise I will get on. This game is incredible. I played this one with a rating of 1991, so this is no Mickey Mouse slouch. This is a heck of a game. I like to use the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid, right? KISS. There, I kissed all 27,700 of you. Yes, you're welcome. But the idea here is chess is complex, you guys. I mean, seriously. Just through Yusupov's course, there's just hundreds of things you have to have in your mind every chess move if you're going to get serious about becoming masters and grandmasters. Well, that's just overwhelming to the vast majority of people. It really is. So I've been trying to think for the last several months since I started remaking these videos, how can I keep this simple and yet deep enough to help me bump up in my skills, my talents, my strengths of playing chess, right? I have found 3 pillars. Now, this is me personally. Everybody in the chess world who's a master or grandmaster or international master or whoever already know these things. Something has happened since I've been really seriously investing my time into chess since November. Something has clicked. I think I'm developing chess neurons. I'm not even joking, because the more you study something in your brain, the neurons connect. I have 3 pillars that I'm going to live by. Now, this is just like the grandmasters tell the amateurs and the intermediates. They said, look, there are at least 75 chess openings you need to know really well to be a grandmaster. But you can't possibly make heads or tails of them for the first 5 years. So for the first 5 years of your chess life, stick with just 2 openings. Find your favorite opening for white and your favorite opening for black and stick with those and master those. So that's what I'm doing. I've discovered along the way 3 pillars of chess, and I'm going to share these with you. This is what I'm doing for now, so that for the next 2 years, while I try to develop my improvement so that I can get to where I can play in tournaments decently, and it won't wipe me out psychologically if I lose. I'm not going to go to tournaments to lose this time, though. But 3 pillars. I'm calling them pillars. Solid. Pillars. Central control of the center area. Occupation with pawns and pieces if that's the way you need to control it in a specific game. Or control from a distance with bishops, rooks, and a queen. The second pillar is rooks on open files and using the files. My third pillar that just recently clicked, and I made a big whoop-de-doo in a couple of previous videos, is this idea of being conscious of targets. Specifically look for targets. Jeremy Silman called that target consciousness. I personally really like that. I have about a dozen training games that I've been working through for the last while. I'm going to show those dozen training games. And I am going to overly emphasize and exaggerate the idea of target consciousness. Kind of like I used to with rooks on open files. Don't get all bothered and hot and say, no, you're boring, you're just keeping repeating. Each game is worth watching because it helps us learn to coordinate our pieces together to find targets, make targets, attack the targets, and improve our position. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you what I'm discovering. You probably already know this, but this is big for me. 3 basic ideas. So here we go. Okay, I'm playing the white here. D4, knight F6. Here we go. C4, C6. Simple opening so far. Knight F3, D5. Boom. He's hitting my center pawns. That dirty rat. Doesn't he know that's rude? No, he does not. Does he care? No, he does not care. He bumps up, supports his central pawn so that in case I decide to pick on him, he'll be able to pick on me back. Well, so I do pretty much the same thing. Standard basic opening. Knight B to D7. We're opening well. Queen to C2. Got to develop the pieces, get to where I can castle and connect my rooks. That's really important for file work later on down the road in the game. Bishop to D6, bishop to D2. He castles. All right, he is the first one to tuck his king away conveniently. Bishop to D3. So I have a compact century here. Queen C7. You can just feel that baby ready to explode. The tension in that, can't you? This is just awesome. We are cooking with gas here, man. I'm the first to draw blood. I took the pawn first. I should say we took the pawn first. He responded. And now I see a potential open file, so I'm going to nab it. In the queen pawn, the queen gambit, accepted, declined, whichever, in the queen pawn opening, this C file is really a prominent feature in this opening. You need to pay attention to this if this is one of your openings that you want to study. This is really critical. Queen bumps down to B8, staying out of danger because I do have the file doubled up with the queen in front of the rook, and it's only his pawn. I can move that knight at any time, so this has potential possibility. Potential. Don't you love it? It's a P word. Potential. Yeah, whatever. Potential, my eyes. Shut up and castle. Okay, so I shut up and then I castled. Now, he is bringing his lovely knight to B6. A very fine move for a knight, wouldn't you say? Me either. But it's okay. He did it. I didn't. Right? Okay, it's time to expand. Yeah, one of the imbalances is space. See, I mean, hey, you have 8 or 9 imbalances from Silman's materials. But it's time to expand all this coiled up energy here. I'm going to explode on the scene, right? So here we go. I'm lighting the fuse. Here we go. Watch out. Pawn on the loose. Well, that was simple. He just simply took the pawn. Look at that beautiful pawn fork he's got, yeah? Now, I, in my magisterial amateurness, wanted to retake that pawn with my knight, or my bishop. The coach thoroughly insisted on the knight, so I played it both ways, and after 10 or so moves, I really did like the coach's decision better, because the chess coach knows best, right? Alekin was correct. Take it with the knight instead of the bishop first, because we're going to have an exchange here. Yeah? And we definitely had the exchange. Knight takes e4, and now the bishop takes e4, and all is well until the next round coming up right now. The next move, woohoo! He pushes f5, hitting my bishop, covering it with the rook and the bishop. So I have very precious little choice except to move my bishop. Only the coach said, wait a minute, there's a good intermediate move here you need to pay attention to first. And this is one of the Yusupov ideas. I mean, it's not his invention or discovery, but he really does discuss it quite a bit. This idea of an intermediate move before either moving out of danger or something of that nature. The intermediate move that actually makes the position stronger is the queen to b3 check, right? King bumps over, of course. Now you can move your bishop out of danger to d3. That little intermediate move made absolutely all the difference in this game. The crazy thing is this. He is in grave danger right now, and he doesn't even know it. He doesn't even see it coming. That's the amazing thing about this particular game, because of target consciousness. The king was available to check, and we did it. Knight comes to d5. Yes? And now, rook f to e1. Target consciousness. See, again, one of the pillars is the central control, doing okay. It's actually a really good battle for the center at this point. True story. But I have the open file. That's another one of the pillars of how I'm going to play chess. Every Grandmaster game I play through has these three pillars. That's why I think for now, as I begin my journey to chess mastery, I just need to keep it to a simple three things that will bump me up. And I believe it can take us all the way to 2000 and beyond, but it takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of time. You gotta play a lot of chess to perfect these, right? You really have to play the stuff. So I'm practicing my second pillar here, which is really pleasant. I like it. I like it a lot. And now, knight to f4. What the? He's got targets too, doesn't he? Target! He's hitting my bishop. Well, I went to the effort, thanks to the coach. I wouldn't have had that bishop if I would have done that earlier exchange. But since I took with the knight first and then the bishop, we want that bishop. Absolutely, because we're covering this beautiful diagonal toward that king, yeah? And now it's open because he pushed the f-pawn. Yeah, there's a lesson here, I promise. Yeah. So, I decided, well, let's take a look here. He went to knight f4, bishop c4, and now rook comes to d8. And you say, okay, good, good. I don't mind. He can't see, because of his opening, he bumped his queen back here in between the rook and bishop. Yeah, it's kind of hard for him to connect his rooks, so he cannot just simply contest the file, or it's a back rank checkmate right now. You see that? So we're already threatening him with a back rank checkmate, so he has to bump over and allow this open file for use. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Two of my pillars, right? Rook d8 now. Now, you're in this position. Where is a target? Well, there's several targets. Some targets are more valuable than others. Some targets take a couple of moves to get to. Some of them are immediate, right? This is why we have to practice to get used to trying to figure out, holy cow, because as I'm practicing target consciousness, I get slapped like crazy sometimes when I pick the wrong target. It's a matter of just practicing and getting an intuitive feel. I'm sorry I can't be more concrete than that, but it's chess. There's trillions of potential moves here. So you just have to play thousands and thousands of games through the years. In the meantime, though, we can at least get a guide to how to do this. And that's what these next 10 to 12 games are going to be. Just a guide, just an idea to at least try to attempt to help us to make target consciousness as natural as breathing is to us. You don't even think about it. You just automatically play that way. Just like rooks on open files, right? So I got to bust that in our consciousness. Yes? Knight G5 looks like a dandy move to me. Yes, sirree, Bob. Target right there, baby. Yeah, not bad. And look, if he's not paying attention, that would be a great fork, yeah? That would be a monster fork with the king, the rook, and the bishop. Yeah, that'd be sweet, right? So this move makes sense. If you're wondering, well, I'm to this point and I really don't quite yet, which piece do I move? How do I do this? The reason this move makes sense is because you have targets by the king and you really have a potential future target of a rook, right? And a rook is a higher value than a knight. So this kind of helps you see, okay, that's a sensible move. Well, I mean, the rook's not going to sit there. Of course he's going to come back to here and defend. He's going to defend the weak square that has become a weakness because he pushed this pawn so soon, right? So this move also makes sense in that it addresses a weakness, a target, which is a square here. Nice, right? You see that? Now, he went rook f8, bishop takes f4, a target. Now this little weasel was hitting down into my king side also. He was acquiring targets, and he has the backing of not only a very beautiful bishop, but a queen backing the bishop. And so, again, from here, it makes perfect sense to take that target out. That helps eliminate an attack on your side, right? So that move also makes sense. Even though there is an exchange and you are losing a bishop, it's okay. That knight was in a powerful position. What we're doing here is we are hitting targets and improving our position by helping his position become less powerful, weaker, as it were, right? That works. That's part of it. So this is good. We're making progress here. And now for the move. We have targets. Oh, do we have targets? Really seriously. This is part of the training. As I go through and I say, well, let's see. Yeah, I mean, the pawn's a target, but the bishop just has the queen protecting him. He's a target. I mean, I could threaten the bishop and stop this potential problem along the diagonal. That's a move that hits a target. That's what I mean. There's multiple targets. We want to be sure that in hitting targets, we don't create bad weaknesses in our position. While that does chase off the bishop, that really weakens the white squares around our king, right? So, yeah, it's a target. No, that's the wrong approach. At this point, there's a much better target. Let me show it to you. Boom. Check. Very nice. The square is weak. Yes, the rook came back to cover the square and protect the pawn. But that didn't take away the weakness. For this reason, I have a bishop and a queen backing up that square, just like he has a queen and a bishop hitting this one. So we both have real powerful diagonals at each other's king. We just got there first. Pow. Check. King gotta move. The rook is not going to take that knight. Not with this powerhouse duo breathing down the king's neck. No. That's a perfectly sane move to make. Now for a shocking move that I simply didn't see. Coach had to show me this one. There's no question. I was still kind of wondering something over here. I was wondering something up. You know, the 7th rank is huge. It's a great target. You know, the whole 7th rank. I was kind of tinkering with stuff like this, trying to think, well, I've got my knight there, he's covered. If I get the 7th rank, I've got targets. If I could get both rooks up here, that would be great. But it's going to take me a couple of moves, and what's he going to be doing in the meantime? So I experimented with it, and sure enough, he was stumping me, right? So I was thinking, well, there's got to be something here. Here's what we, meaning Alec, my coach, my chess app, found. Right there, Queen H4. Slide her all the way across, hitting the king side. The target, right there. Yeah, that's really nice. I was very happy to see this. What we want to do is get it in our conscious. We want to build our chess neurons on how to coordinate pieces in attacking and defense. Target consciousness helps us do that, right? So this is great. Well, bishop takes h2, check. Yeah, and I'm breaking out in the cold sweat thinking, oh, fabulous, now I'm going to get trumped. Not really. This ends up being just a one-move spite check. He can't really follow up on this simply because of the position. Yeah, right? So the king just simply moves over out of check. Not a big deal. You don't have to all of a sudden wig out because all of a sudden you got a bishop breathing down your neck. You don't want to go this away. You want to go that away. Just simply move out of check. And you feel like you're stuck in a corner. Yeah, you are, but the bishop can't hurt you. And interestingly, the bishop actually keeps the queen out of this, doesn't it? Besides, my queen's right there. It's a very, very simple thing to bump a rook if his queen starts trying to come in here and get fancy. Although she won't, because this square isn't the weak square. That one is not. It's a little weaker, but it's covered. So it's just not a big deal. Just move your king out of check, right? King h1. Well, h6. Yeah, you got to protect that. So, do you sacrifice your queen to crack open this king side? No, you don't have to at all. Do you try to? I was attempting to try to double up my rooks to power my way past this rook, although it's a very simple thing for him to simply bump his bishop. Right? So, yeah, it takes a few moves, but no. That's not the, oh, that was here. That's not the best thing to do. The best thing to do is discovered check and check from the knight. Double discovered check. Therefore, nothing can be taken, and the king must move. Yes, he's in danger from the pawn, but the pawn can't take him because the bishop is also checking the king. That is a fabulous move. I was really thrilled to see this. So he comes to h7, and now the real beautiful thing is we have another discovered check by moving the knight, taking a target and hitting a target. Yeah, check. Now the beautiful thing is the bishop prevents him from tucking back behind under cover this time. Not happening. And the queen owns the column, so he can't go back. So he must come out. So we're flushing the king out, which is always a great thing. Yeah, easier to get access to. Notice how the king side is completely obliterated because of target consciousness. Yeah, because of open files. We're keeping everything on that side. Notice most of the power's over here again. Yeah, right? And look at the center. Who has dominance in the center? Yeah, baby. The three pillars. They're in every Grandmaster game. And as I elaborate on Grandmaster games, I'll be happy to show you these too. I will always elaborate on these three pillars. I'm doing too much right now, but this game really thrilled me because of it's a training game. Remember, in training games, I don't even care if I finish the game. It's not about winning or losing. I'm trying to train my mind to see chess in a cooperative, coordinating way. I work through problems 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 times until I get it right, and then I say, so that's the piece I start out with. You know, I experiment using the rooks, I'll experiment with some of the pawn moves, then I'll experiment with some of the bishop ideas, and then when that doesn't work and he says, no, dork, move your queen, I go, oh, of course, that makes sense. That's what a training game is, right? So, this is fantastic. Now, don't do this. Don't forget you got a bishop here and a queen there. Don't do this. Yes, the knight has you covered, but the pawn will take you. I didn't do either one of those, by the way. I really didn't. I saw the next move clearly. Is right here. Check. Yeah, baby. Oh, that's a thing of beauty right there. Because now the king's not going to go that way. He's coming back this way. I believe he went to f6. King h7, king g6. King f6, yeah. Dang, memory like a champion, baby. Now, the issue is there's a couple of different ways to do this, but you got to be careful. And I experimented with it, you know, in learning how to build a mating net and checkmate a king once you flush him out. You're bound to make mistakes, and you have to learn that, yeah? Learn it now. So the best way to approach this, and I actually did find this move, is take the pawn. You're covered by the knight. Check. Notice the target is always the king. And ever since we started to check the king, we have been relentlessly chasing that target because that gives us the initiative. I promise he's reacting to us, right? That makes sense. That means we have the initiative. We're putting our pieces where, yeah, they're the most useful. He is simply trying to save his hide and get out of this. And he can't seem to do it because of the very poor placement of his queen early in the game. That did not help him. He cannot get his bishop into this game, and his rook is never going to see the light of day. You can't save a king with one rook when there is a rook, a bishop, a knight, and a queen after him. Just not going to happen, right? That's the lesson here, right? So the trouble is you lose the knight. So you sacrifice the knight for the higher good. He's on white. You don't want to go here, even though you're covered by the pawn and the queen, because you've got both a bishop and a queen hidden. Yeah, you can sacrifice the rook, but you can't get to the checkmate of the king. That is not the best way to approach this. I promise. I experimented with it. Wrong answer. I also found this, which is sweet. Remember that video, I think it was just a couple previous videos to this, where I showed you when you have a column on one side of the king and you're in control of the other column on the other side of the king, you have him trapped in a real thin wedge. Going check here, he can't come here, 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 or here. He only has that one square to go to. Yes! That means I can control where I send him next. And where I want to send him next is over that away. But he didn't go that away because the queen covers. I was thinking of my pawns, and then it dawned on me, it doesn't matter. The only square he has is here, and now I've got him because this square, this square, this square, this square, this square, this square, and this square is covered. What's the only square not covered? That one. And what piece has access to that square? This one. Checkmate with a pawn. Yeah, baby. Target consciousness. Targets. So, in the target conscious videos that I'm about to show you, and I've got a lot of them, and they're really good games. That was a splendiferous. I really enjoyed how we were able to chase the king out of his cover and checkmate him. 1990 rating. This is the highest rating I've had it on in a training game so far. And I do the various ratings. I go all the way from 1200 on up, because each level has a different way of acting and reacting, and we're not always going to be playing super splendid, super duper great chess players. Sometimes we'll play weaker players. Like John told me in chess club, my nemesis John, one of my best friends in chess club. And I went 3 for 4 this week. The week before, I got him. I checkmated him. Well, this week he beat me. He was telling me in some tournaments he was playing that he was beating 1550s to 1600 rated players. So it was exciting for me to realize, well, my playing strength is probably maybe 1500. That was cool. I don't know if that's true, but I am able to beat a guy who's been playing 1500 and 1600 rated players and beating them periodically. Yes, I call that progress, right? It's fun. So in playing training a little higher rating, some of these games will only be 1350. Some of the training games will be 1700. I think the majority of my games are 1700 because I'm able to see more to do in the game at that rate. At 1900, the coach saw most of this. I was able to see. I always play the openings because I'm practicing my openings. And when I play through, 13, 14 moves, and then I start getting into trouble, I back it off a few times. I say, all right, here's where I kind of ran into trouble here. I got forked here by the knight, and I lost my rook. What would you do? And then I'll play through his stuff, and then I'll see, aha, I should have left the pawn alone. So this is how we're learning, through training. So there's your video. Oh, and hey, Gunther Higginbottom, you asked me to give you a shout out. Salute! I hope you're feeling better, dude. And all the rest of you hoodlums, you chess hoodlums, you wonderful gals and guys. There are so many of you. If I start doing shout outs, I'm going to spend 50 hours doing shout outs, and I'd love to, but we've got chess to learn. So I love y'all. You're awesome. Just trust me on that. So have a good night. Be good, do well, work hard, study chess, and keep training on target consciousness. I promise I'm going to put it into your head over the course of the next 10 videos. Don't be impatient with me. It's worth it. This stuff works. I'll see you guys in the next chess video.